Russell Brand hasn't exactly disappeared, but it's been a while since the lanky, whip-smart British comedian has been given the movie star treatment. His hilarious turn in Forgetting Sarah Marshall made him seem well-positioned to own the silver screen, starring roles in more movies, a shot at headlining the Arthur franchise reboot, and his own late-night talk show followed, making it seem like Brand's big personality and great comic talents were in high demand, and would stay that way. But lately, he seems to have disappeared from the multiplex altogether. Let's take a look at some of the reasons we don't hear from Russell Brand so much anymore. Get him to the theaters. Brand earned raves as the breakout star of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a movie already notable for launching Jason Segel's big screen writing and acting career. In the movie, Brand played the ostensible villain, a pretentious British rock star named Aldous Snow. But despite the character's many flaws, Brand made Aldous entirely likable. He was such an audience favorite in the film that the producers put together Get Him to the Greek, a spin-off movie centered on the character, co-starring Jonah Hill as a record label employee who has to get Snow to an important concert at the historic Greek theater in Los Angeles. The movie didn't quite click as well with audiences as Sarah Marshall did. That may have been a hint that moviegoers might prefer Russell Brand in small doses rather than a starring role. That certainly seemed to be the case for his next big chance at the marquee. In 2011, Brand filmed a remake of the Oscar-nominated 1981 comedy Arthur, and in it, Brand, who has a history of addiction, played a believable sad drunk. But remakes have an uphill climb, and audiences failed to turn out, slowing his film career momentum. Hosting debacle. Among his first high-profile gigs in America was his turn hosting the 2008 MTV Video Music Awards. The show had a long history of using comedians as hosts, but unfortunately, it didn't go so well for Brand. While he was expected to make fun of sacred cows, Brand went too far for a lot of people, mocking the Jonas Brothers' public pledges to abstain from sex until marriage, and the purity rings they wore to signify it. Later in the show, fellow purity ring wearer Jordan Sparks lashed out at him on stage, and this prompted Brand to awkwardly return to the subject on stage and declare, "I'd like to take this opportunity to say, no one ever have sex again. It's a mad idea. What a way to spend an evening." Voiceover wins. Maybe instead of watching him look and act like a rock star, audiences would rather have Brand disappear into a role, literally, to the point where they can't even see him. As proof, he's put together a pretty impressive track record for voicing animated characters. He provided the voice of the Easter Bunny in the 2011 hit Hop, and the ancient, bumbling Dr. Nefario in 2 Despicable Me movies.
I miss being evil.
And more recently, he was part of the cast of the hit animated musical Trolls. Talk show takedown. The FX network got into the hot Russell Brand game in the summer of 2012 by signing the comedian on for a weekly late-night talk show called Brand X. However, the series struggled to find a niche in the crowded late-night comedy arena, and Brand and producers changed formats a few times. When the show debuted, it was little more than a sounding board for Brand to speak, joke, and riff about a political or social issue.
As you've already noticed, my propensity for verbosity.
Later on, he experimented with the format, introducing celebrity interviews, an audience advice segment, and even on-stage debates with hate groups. But after roughly 24 episodes over the course of a year, Brand X was branded a failure and cancelled. Sitcom sadness. FX got rid of Brand being himself on Brand X so they could make a show where he pretended to be himself. In the same press release announcing Brand X's cancellation, the network revealed it had another project for the actor in store, a single-camera documentary-style sitcom in which he'd play a version of himself. The concept was likened to HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm. Ironically, the network ultimately curbed its own enthusiasm by declining to order the show to series.
I slunk out.
You slunk out?
I slunk out.
So you didn't do a and you punked out. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, I punked out.
Romantic rows. Brand reached peak fame in October 2010 when he married Katy Perry, one of the biggest pop stars of the day. It seemed like a bit of a mismatch. She was a squeaky clean all-American pop star, while he was a former heroin addict and a stand-up comedian. They were both, at the very least, cheeky and good-looking, which was one of the things that kept the marriage afloat for 2 years, until Brand broke up with her via text message. Perry has spoken about the pain and sadness of the divorce, and initially pinned the split on their busy schedules. Brand later blamed his exit from the marriage on Perry's commitment to what he called a vapid, vacuous celebrity lifestyle, but he still came out of the whole ordeal looking pretty bad, hurting his public image. The Scrivener. In addition to all his other projects, Brand has somehow found the time to write and publish a whopping 6 books and kick off a career making documentaries. Always a political comedian and a curious guy, Brand's interests in politics have kind of become his, well, brand. Ba-bum. He now spends most of his professional life making documentary films about political causes. In 2015, he made The Emperor's New Clothes, a film about the disappearing middle class, economic disparity, and the recent recession. And before that, he was hired by BBC Three to make a documentary about the war on drugs and whether it had failed. This project had Brand going to other countries to research their progressive drug policies, which was a subject close to Brand's heart. A recovering addict, he also made the 2012 BBC doc From Addiction to Recovery. Hitting the web. In between making full-length, in-depth documentary films primarily about individual issues facing the poor and those living on the fringes of society, Brand also has a YouTube series called The Trues, True News with Russell Brand. He's already made more than 380 episodes of the series, in which he delivers the news while analyzing and making fun of it, then invites on experts and pundits for further discussion.
Do you think I am trivial?
Yes.
A minute ago you were having a go at me because I wanted a revolution, now I'm trivial.
asking.
Brand was never a monster movie star to begin with, despite having some key memorable roles, but he's proven himself to be more of an ensemble funny man for films while approaching other subjects that are more personally interesting for him. So while his days as a leading man in the film industry seem to have ended as quickly as they began, he's still got our ticket money if and when he does sign up for that next comedy sidekick flick. In the end, you can still get a full dose of Russell Brand these days. You just need to know where to look. Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.